want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hey everybody! Well, 2021 is drawing to a close, and of course that means we here at JoBlo wanted to count down the 10 best movies of the year. Now, it's worth noting that just like 2020, this year comes with a major asterisk next to it. Tons of movies have been delayed, with things like Top Gun Maverick still sitting on the shelf waiting to get released. But starting in the spring of this year, Hollywood started to put more films out theatrically as restrictions started to get lifted. Heck, for a while in the late fall, it almost seemed like business as usual until the sequel no one wanted, Omicron, came along and screwed things up. Nevertheless, we end 2021 in what I think is a more hopeful note than 2020, and can say with a straight face that some legitimately awesome movies came out this year. We start the list off with a movie none of us saw coming, nobody. Yes, the crew from John Wick turned none other than Better Call Saul's Bob Odenkirk into perhaps the most exciting new action star to emerge this year. Yep, a nearly 60-year-old comedian stepped into the fray for the first time and showed everyone how it's done. Directed by Ilya Naishuller, Nobody stars Odenkirk as Hutch Mansell, former assassin turned everyday schmo whose dormant action hero is reignited when his family falls prey to a home invasion. The scene on the bus where Odenkirk demolishes a gang of Russian thugs is the best action moment of the year. Plus, none other than Doc Brown himself, Christopher Lloyd, and Loreza join Odenkirk for the balls to the wall finale. I want to see the sequel with the three of them kicking ass. It is perfection. In at number 9, West Side Story. Now, before you groan and roll your eyes, if you've actually seen the movie, you'll know why it's on our list. While a remake of West Side Story seemed dull as a butter knife, the film itself is a magnificent take on the Stephen Sondheim classic with some incredibly directed musical sequences, almost like this Steven Spielberg guy might be onto something, right? He actually kind of directed a movie. Mike Faist as Riff and Ariana DeBose as Anita really steal the show here, and it's a shame that this movie hasn't found an audience theatrically, as it really is top-tier Spielberg, and his best movie since maybe Munich. Number 8 is a weird one, James Wan's Malignant. I'll admit that for about 80% of this movie, that seemed like just kind of a standard schlocky horror movie, but whoa! Some horror fans really despised Wan's film, but just as many of us adored it, with the last act of the movie an energetic blast of insanity you'll never see coming. There aren't many horror movies that you could call Dario Argento by the way of John Woo, but man, Malignant you actually can. Number 7 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Overall, this has been a mixed bag kind of year for Marvel. They had some wins like WandaVision and Loki, but Black Widow, Eternals, and even Hawkeye and Falcon and the Winter Soldier have gotten a mostly mixed reaction from fans and even us here at JoBlo. Some of us liked it, some of us did not. However, Destin Daniel Cretton's Shang-Chi is a movie that we all really loved, and it made a star out of its lead Simu Liu. Plus, a ton of money, even when theaters were closed due to the Delta variant, and it really launched a very promising Marvel favorite on the big screen in a very big way. Number 6 is a movie that some of you may not have seen, but those of us here at JoBlo that have seen it really think that it's an amazing piece of work. Riders of Justice. Now, if you love Mads Mikkelsen and you want to see a truly bug-nuts, insane mix of action, drama, and comedy, this is the movie for you. Mikkelsen stars as a Danish army officer whose wife dies in what may not have been an accident, or also might have been an accident, leading to him to declare war on the motorcycle gang he holds responsible called the Riders of Justice. But it all goes down a lot differently than you might think, although there's tons of firepower and tons of action. Free Guy director Sean Levy is out to remake this, but I'm not quite sure it'll translate. Number 5 is another divisive movie, The Last Duel. Ridley Scott may blame millennials for the movie's failure, but heck, we here at JoBlo dug the hell out of his multi-perspective period piece. Matt Damon plays against type as a legit bastard, while Adam Driver steals scenes as the movie's de facto villain. But the star of the show here really is Jodie Comer, who had a great year between this and Free Guy. She plays a woman who's raped, and her story results in a duel to the death being fought between her husband and attacker. The final duel is incredible, up there with anything Ridley Scott's directed, and the whole movie is richly observed and brilliant. Number 4 is bound to be controversial, but hey, I had to put it in this list, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Granted, most of the footage was shot years ago, but Snyder only finished the movie this year, and it turned out to be an epic saga that proves to all involved that yes, the Snyder Cut was always real, and it was all it was hyped up to be, and more. So it's a massive victory for fans, and just for those of us that like watching this kind of thing, because really, the Snyder Cut was kind of great, right? I'd still love to see this movie in theaters, preferably on an IMAX screen. Number 3 is No Time to Die, Daniel Craig's swan song as James Bond, which divided some fans with its widely controversial ending, but Cary Joji Fukunaga's film is a terrific action epic that directly calls back to the great On Her Majesty's Secret Service and brings the character of James Bond full circle for perhaps the first time in quite a long while. Daniel Craig is terrific in what's bound to be his last turn as James Bond. Well, it almost certainly is. It's a terrific achievement, and it also launched Ana de Armas as a legit action heroine, with her being tipped to take the lead in the John Wick spin-off Ballerina. Number 2 is Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1, which thank God is now getting a Part 2. Frank Herbert's saga is brilliantly brought to life by Villeneuve with an exceptional cast that includes Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Zendaya as Chani, Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, Oscar Isaac as Leto, and perhaps most memorable of all, Jason Momoa as the heroic but doomed Duncan Idaho. If you saw this movie in IMAX, well, you might be wondering why it isn't number 1. But what else could be number 1 but Spider-Man No Way Home, a movie that everybody loves? While some of you may not have seen it yet due to another wave of movie theater closures, rest assured this is perhaps the greatest live-action adaptation of Spider-Man ever, and Marvel's thrown in everything and the kitchen sink to make this the best MCU movie since Avengers Endgame. No spoilers here, because again, a lot of you haven't seen it, but suffice to say nothing for the MCU or Spider-Man will ever be quite the same again, and this movie made a lot of people happy. I mean, if you've seen the movie, just look at some of those reaction videos. It's incredible. So there you have it, our list of the year's best movies. Some notable runners-up include Paul Thomas Anderson's Great Licorice Pizza, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which some of us really liked and some of us really didn't, James Gunn's awesome The Suicide Squad, Joe Wright's Cyrano, which would have been the year's best musical had it not been for West Side Story, as well as some lower-key indies we saw in the festival circuit, including Jane Campion's Netflix movie Power of the Dog, which demands a little bit of patience but really pays off at the end, and Kenneth Branagh's charming Belfast. So, did we miss anything? Make sure to let us know in the comments, and here's to everybody having a great 2022 full of amazing movies and good times.